Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. Thank you very much to those of you who have come across to find out what it's about. This reading I'm doing now is the second full moon that is taking place in Aquarius. We've already had one full moon, so this is the second full moon, a rare occurrence, a rare event, and it is taking place at the 29-degree point of Aquarius. So got quite a few cards in fact today to take a look at, because we have the full moon energy itself, which is about surrendering to the divine. Sorry, I'm just going to try and rearrange my lighting a wee bit here because it's very bright. And the lights at the back are doing weird things as well. I don't know why. If you've watched the video that I put out previously, the tarot video part of this, you will have seen that the lights were doing exactly the same thing. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm just going to let it do its thing. So, yep, full moon, surrendering to the divine, so letting something go. There's a culmination energy here. And it's a very strong culmination energy because it's leaving Aquarius, the moon's leaving Aquarius at that 29-degree point and moving into the Pisces energy, which is all about release and letting go and surrendering. And it's doing that within an hour of the full moon taking place. So within the hour, the moon is going to leave the Aquarian energy and move into the Piscean energy. So we have the Aquarian energy here as well, which is all about standing up, being yourself, showing the world the real you, as it says on the card. It's about individualism. It's about not kind of getting swept along with a crowd, or I kind of see it at this moment in time as a hive mind kind of energy, where people are just kind of going along because it seems the right thing to do. Whereas part of the Aquarian energy, which is very strong, is actually about diversity and about finding your individualism within the collective. So it's about not being the same as everybody else. It's about understanding that there is a collective, but that doesn't mean that we all have to act the same, think the same, look the same, behave the same. It's kind of saying that's the very opposite, in fact. But there is a lot of this hive mind energy out there at this time, which we need to be aware of and need to be careful of as well. The next energy is the fixed moon energy itself, which is about holding the vision here. But as I said, this is a fast moving moon, in the respect that it's only going to be in the last degrees of Aquarius for that, under that hour before it moves into the Pisces energy. And we are and have had a lot of this fixed energy for a long time. We are in this fixed energy with the Taurus and Uranus square that is still ongoing, and Leo in the sun, in Leo. We've had the sun in Leo new moon as well, which was that fixed energy, and we've had the Aquarius full moon, the first one. Now we've got this one as well. So a lot of fixed energy, a lot of kind of standing our ground, holding our vision, knowing what we want, which can become kind of fixed stubbornness as well, but sometimes that is what is needed. And it's a blue moon, this moon, a rare occurrence. As I was saying, a blue moon is always the second full moon that falls within the same sign within that month. So blue moon energy, which is all about believing in the impossible because it's a rare occurrence. So that's saying once in a blue moon. And then we have the Pisces energy, which I thought I would just throw in there because it is kind of still opposite. It is still kind of like a full moon in many ways. It's still opposing the sun quite strongly, within that hour. So we have balance, spirituality and practicality with the full moon in Pisces. So it's about opening to that spiritual 12th house energy, releasing, letting go, going with the flow, because it is much more of a mutable energy that the moon has now moved into. It's an energy of nothing being set in stone. It's the complete opposite energy. So that is all the moon energy that we have at this time. Fast changing, and there is a lot of changing energy happening through this full moon. Again, a lot of Aquarian, a lot of Uranian energy, which is all about revolution and change. Oops, that doesn't want to stay there. Go on, you can do it. It may well fall down at some point, we'll see. Sorry about that. So I am calling this this particular video Expanding into Consciousness. And once again, when we have the divine masculine sun energy opposing the divine feminine moon energy, that is when we get the full moon. So it's that opposition of the sun shining on the face of the moon. Pardon me. So this full moon is the second full moon to take place in the sign of Aquarius, fixed energy of the 11th house. It is happening on the 2nd of August at 13:01, so it has already occurred. And that's 13:01 hours UK time, so in other places in the world it will be happening at different times, so you may want to check that out for yourselves. So this is known as a blue moon, as it is taking place in the same sign as the previous full moon, which is where we get the expression once in a blue moon, as this is a fairly rare event due to the first full moon in Aquarius occurring at 01 degrees 26 minutes. This one is happening at the very last point of 29 degrees and 36 minutes, which makes this full moon even more important and intensifying, as that 29 degrees point is known as the anaretic degree, or the karmic or fated degree. That applies to any sign. So any of the signs, that 29 degree point is always the hardest point. This degree is always a difficult degree, as the planet is transitioning from one energy to the next. And so to have a full moon there as well is quite a major turning point in many ways, particularly as we're coming out of this Piscean age and we've got the Aquarian age, and it's like these two moons at either end of the Aquarian sign is kind of bringing in that energy, that new age, even stronger. So challenging energy of leaving something behind in order to start something new. Just like the previous full moon, this one is going to be affecting 2 signs at once, or 4 if you include the opposing sun in the same degree of Leo. For the full moon in Aquarius, we'll also be crossing over into the Piscean and 12th house energy. So if you have any planets or points between the 24 to 29 degrees of Aquarius, or the 0 to 4 degrees of Pisces, it will be felt the strongest by you. It will also have a big effect on those with anything at the same degrees of Leo, as well as those 0-4 degrees of Virgo. And it will also have an effect on those who are squaring. So if anybody has anything in the same degrees of Scorpio and Taurus, Again, particularly Taurus, because Uranus is there as well. Not exactly at those degrees, but Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, and Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so it will be felt again quite strongly. So if you have any planets or points between those degrees of 24 to 29 degrees of Taurus, you will be experiencing it. And the same for Scorpio, quite strongly. So the Sun will cross over into Virgo later on the same day and will continue to oppose the Moon, which will already have passed into Pisces. So check out where these degrees fall for you on a personal level in your own natal chart, as this is where it will appear on an individual level in your life, particularly the 29-degree point of both, like Aquarius and Leo. Check out those 29-degree points and see where it falls for you, which house it falls in on your own personal natal chart. And there will be a link in the description box down below for you to go and check that out if you don't already know your chart. It is worth finding out because it gives you a bigger overall picture, and it also means that you can check out other like for the tarot readings as well. You can check out the other signs like your Moon, your Venus, Ascendant, etc. So during an opposition, the energy moves backwards and forwards between the planets involved, which is why it's worth knowing where those 29-degree points are and which houses they're going to fall into. So the full moon is once again activating the 11th house Aquarian energy, which is in itself emphasizing to us how important this energy is. This house governs over our friendships, community, social media, our humanitarian outlook, as well as recognizing the individual within the collective. It is an energy of being different, unique, standing out, quirky, diverse, genius, thinking outside the tried and tested. It also covers the systems within systems, like the inside of cells on a cellular level. So that's kind of what I was thinking of, systems within systems. It's like if you take apart a cell, it has its own unique systems that makes that cell what it is and how it works all comes together. So it's that system within the cells on a cellular level, as well as the inner workings of all large organizations and anything that deals with large amounts of information, data, or groups or collectives of people. The full moon energy is also shining into the 12th house Piscean energy of the unknown, the mysterious, things that can't be seen with the naked eye. For this reason, it also governs the subconscious, the psychic. It is the realm beyond our physical body and our mental ego. The intuitive and instinctual level of trusting our inner knowing, our connection to source. Aquarius is the third air sign of our higher conscious awareness, our higher mind, and Pisces is the third water sign of our higher emotional knowingness. It is both the mind and the feelings coming together through this bridging moon energy to give us the best of logical reasoning and intuitive knowing. And often the two don't gel together. Like people who are very intuitive and kind of work on their feelings have difficulty with people who are much more intellectual and in their heads, and vice versa. During this full moon, something is being culminated and released, as is always the case of the full moon energies. Here though, it's like a double whammy, as the 29-degree mark is a culminating point in itself. At this time, our emotional body, soul energy of the collective is being magnified, expanded, strongly highlighted, and intensified not only by the opposing sun, but also from the conjunction with Jupiter at 26 degrees 54 minutes retrograde. just coming off of the 27 degrees. And I do just want to point out as well, because I haven't actually written that down, but we also have the moon sextile to the galactic center at the time of this full moon taking place as well. And of course the galactic center is that connection to the higher consciousness. It's beyond our own solar system, so it's bringing in that energy on a higher level of information. So it's like leveling up, which is what the galactic center is really about. It's like bringing in energy or information, or like a new situation that we have never dealt with before. Something completely outside of our how can you put it, completely outside of our knowledge of how to deal with something, or what something's about. So and that 27 degrees of Jupiter, so it's going to be in a conjunction with Jupiter as well, so it's going to be expanding that energy as well at the same time. So the 27 degrees of Jupiter as well means that it's a fairly tight and close conjunction with the full moon and opposition to the sun. So Jupiter is also opposing the sun in a fairly tight conjunction, so the energy is very concentrated, which is going to bring some higher truths out into the open. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is pushing us to move beyond our boundaries. Jupiter, of course, being the ruler of Sagittarius is interesting in itself, because the galactic center is at 26, 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which is why it's sextile. And it's pushing us to move beyond our boundaries, to explore and open doors we may not yet have allowed ourselves to open, especially with this galactic center energy being involved here as well. It's really like pushing us beyond the physical domain that we know that we live in. It's kind of almost saying, like, you know, there is more to this than you are aware of. And that's also kind of within our own mental realms as well as outside, but also within our own mental realm, our own way of thinking and understanding. This feels like a time of not just accepting other people's ideas and opinions as being the only options. This is about using our own minds in an expansive way in order to find other views, viewpoints, answers, and the bigger picture. This is not a time to be closed down or shut off from understanding things from a higher vantage point. Jupiter is the great benefactor, known for good luck and good fortune. The moon represents the soul, the collective emotions of the people, and the sun is our self-will, our vitality and our creative drive, which is even more significant in its home sign of Leo. Our inner fire, drive and passion that wants to be expressed outwardly, with its connotations, of course, to royalty and majesty, and its true representation of our own spirit that creates our individualism. So it kind of, how that came through for me was that, you know, the real royalty and the real majesty is our own sovereign identity here. So once again, this strong Uranian energy is the focus of this full moon, with both the full moon and Jupiter activating this powerful archetypal energy of revolution, freedom, liberation, and the need for change from within the collective. Adding to this, we have both the sun and the moon connecting with Black Moon Lilith in a T-square, along with the North Node and the South Node. Black Moon Lilith is at 03 degrees, 55 or 4 degrees, and the North Node is sitting at 6 degrees, 29 minutes, both in Gemini, are moving closer to their upcoming conjunction, which only happens roughly every 9 years as Black Moon Lilith orbits orbit takes that amount of time to complete. The Gemini energy connects to our communication, information, data, filing systems, as well as two sides of a story, duality. And when I say filing systems, it's also to do with our mind as well, and the way that we kind of file things in our own heads. We like to have things compartmentalized, I suppose, is probably a better way to put it. So yeah, also being two sides to a story, duality, our curiosity, our desire and need to understand and work out how and why something is the way it is. That's where the curiosity comes in. It's like we need to know more about something. It also covers writing, media, research, and curiosity all come under Mercury ruled Gemini. So the North and South node are the moon's nodes, and Black Moon Lilith is the point of the moon that is always turned away from us when the moon is farthest away from the planet Earth. These are all energies connected to the feminine, the moon, and mothering energy. But Black Moon Lilith represents our shadow, the darker side of our feminine nature, due to it having been repressed, ignored, and denied within both genders. The nodes are our points of destiny, our karmic destination, whichever sign the North Node is in. Our pathway to the new energy we are moving towards, while the South Node is the energy we need to let go and move away from, which at this time with the North Node in Gemini, the South Node is sitting at same degrees of 6 degrees in Sagittarius. So here we have our divine masculine and divine feminine, the sun and the moon, both square in the nodes with the light of the sun activating this out of sign cross. Because there is a square between these energies, because of where they are actually situated. It's not a grand cross as such, because it's not activating all the same element. So basically we have a cross, like with these four energies being square, sun, moon opposing, south and north node opposing, but the north node and the south node are both immutable, whereas the sun and the moon are both in fixed energies, although the moon is going to move into mutable and make it a much stronger cross, and the moon is going to move, the sun is going to move into Virgo as well, so it will become a grand cross that we will be seeing in the sky, which is a grand mutable cross. And that mutable energy is all about change. It's all about shifting energies, things happening fast. Nothing is completely decided or set in stone, even though it may appear to be. The mutable energy is kind of saying that's not the case. Things can change very quickly. So it's a time to be flexible, open to change, which is the total opposite of the fixed energies that we've just been in for quite some time. The fixed energy is all about stability, steadfastness, keeping things the way we know and feel comfortable and secure with. So this could cause some inner and outer conflict between these energies, showing up as being torn between staying with the tried and tested, which is that sun and moon energy of the fixed signs, or wanting to change the way things are, which is that more mutable energy of the nodes at the time. But like I said, the sun and the moon are both going to shift into mutable energies. So there will be a much stronger desire to kind of rethink things and maybe not be so solid in the way that we think that things are, or the way that we think that it is going to be. So we are being tested at this time as to which side of this story are we going to move towards. That's the south and the north node as well, because it's being activated by the sun and the moon at this time. It's like part of ourselves are being pulled towards one side or the other. The south node, which is more of our kind of comfort zone in a way, because that's the energy that we know, that Sagittarius energy and everything that that represents. And then the north node is kind of saying, but there's something new over here, there's something that you need to rediscover, or there's something that needs to be taken into consideration that hasn't been thought of before. And that's kind of where we are steering our ships towards. But there's also at this time this kind of, as you're probably quite well aware, this kind of dividing energy that is happening quite strongly, which I think on some levels has got a lot to do with this Sagittarius and Gemini north and south divide as well. So this pull towards either the staying with the Sagittarius comfort of what we know, or being kind of taken into the more Gemini side of things, is going to be chosen on an energetic level. It's not like it's a kind of conscious decision in a way. It's more to do with how we feel within ourselves on an energetic level, as to whether we kind of resonate with the parts that is the old paradigm, whether we're kind of stuck there in that energy, or whether we're kind of pulled towards this new paradigm and what that has to offer us. So Saturn, also in the fixed sign of Aquarius at this time, is making a grand air trine with the North Node, Black Moon Lilith in Gemini, and Venus at 7 degrees 26 in Libra. Grand trines are a powerful aspect as they connect all three of the same element together. A grand air trine brings in the best qualities of the air element, which is about communication, learning something different, and mindfulness of our thought processes. This particular grand trine involves a lot of the feminine energy. The feminine energy being the node, the North Node, Black Moon Lilith, and Venus, all together, almost like kind of ganging up on that Saturn energy in a way, if you like. But because it's a grand trine, the energy is flowing very easily. It's literally a trine between, like, creating this triangle of energy between all of these, like this 120 degree angles between all of these three signs and the planets that are involved. So because it's the feminine energy which is quite strong in this as well, it's more of a kind of emotional, softer, receptive, nurturing, as well as the hidden internal creative life producing side of our nature. With Saturn in Aquarius, it speaks of a need to let the old established views, ideas, ways of living in the world drop away, especially around the Saturn energy of rules, restrictions, laws, governance, and the way we continue to create the third world from the past. As we learn how to integrate all parts of ourselves and understand how to open into higher conscious states of awareness and vibration, we will begin to understand our reality from this vantage point. Venus is giving us a massive boost as she is shining her light of love, beauty, and the way we value ourselves into those darker, limiting corners and voices in our own heads. It's that constant kind of, like, you know, questioning ourselves. The air energy is very strong at this time, so that is kind of the constant ongoing babble. But it's going to be quite almost like quite productive, because it is a trine energy. It's not like there's a lot of challenges here in this energy. So Venus wants us to find happiness, peace and equilibrium within ourselves and our relationships, harmonizing through right actions. The tools she uses in Libra to achieve this are fairness and justice, to help make the wrongs, the unfairness and injustices right once again. Although the energy is balanced here in a grand trine, which means it flows easily, the scales are kind of tipped in the favour of Saturn, the Lord of Karma, as the bigger presence in Aquarius. So Saturn being a kind of an outer planet, a much bigger force and energy, it's kind of having a bit more of a stronger, powerful effect at this time. And Saturn, as I said, he's the Lord of Karma, but he's also, he teaches through tough love. He's a tough love teacher, basically. But he's always wanting us to learn and master the lessons in life so that we can progress to the next level of our spiritual education through this physical domain we inhabit, both in our own bodies and the material world around us, because Saturn is the ruler of the physical domain, because it is the last planet that we can see with the naked eye. It's the last planet that is part of our physical domain in that sense. So he kind of has that kind of control over it, if you like, before the other energies come through. So this grand air trine began as Venus reached 2 degrees 30 minutes of Libra on the 18th of August, and it will culminate on the 25th of August as Venus breaks away from the connection with the North Node and Black Moon Lilith. The connection with Saturn, however, will continue from Venus until the 28th of August, and with the North Node until the 20th of November, during which time Saturn will also stop his sextile with the North Node in Sagittarius, which has been helping us to release what is no longer viable in our lives when it comes to our beliefs and trusting in things that have been there ever since we can remember. Again, that kind of idea that things are never going to change, that everything's going to stay the same forever. These last kind of 18 months has really kind of given us a completely different perception or perspective on those very outdated ideas, really. The trine with Black Moon Lilith is going to be ongoing right through until the 22nd of December, where we will experience a lot of karmic distorted patterns and habits being questioned, possibly around the decisions we have made previously in our lives and where it has taken us collectively and individually. I also think it will be a time of great revelations, many that will not make us feel good about ourselves or humanity in general, which will shock and enrage at the same time as we discover the depth, depravity, lies and deceit that has been going on for a very long time. So there are going to be things that are going to come up to the surface that Black Moon Lilith is going to make us aware of during this period of time. So in the Aquarian energy, Saturn is helping us to manifest and ground into our reality something from the future that is always coming into being now. Adding to this is the grand Earth trine that started to take place just hours after the grand air trine. So we've got two trines forming here as well, which again is very interesting because they kind of represent that mutable, changing, fast moving air energy, and also the very solid, very steadfast earth energy of where the full moon has taken place in the fixed energy and then moving into the air energy or the mutable energy, should I say. And yet it's kind of happened the other way around, with the air energy first, and then that energy is, it's like it's being grounded into the reality. So as the moon enters into Capricorn, which happened on the same day of the air trine, as I was saying, so the 18th. So as the moon enters into Capricorn, which is happening a couple of days before the full moon, she will first begin to trine with a conjunct Mercury and Mars at 12 degrees, and that is going to bring in and root a kind of sense of sharpness, precision, clarity within our actions for making healthy emotional decisions and becoming clear on our body's innate healing capacity. Because Mercury and Mars are both in Virgo, and in Virgo it's very much about the body and the mind connection, as Virgo is also ruled by Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So it's about the healing process between the body and the mind, the connection between the two. But Mercury is also very much to do with sharpness, precision. It's the ruler of Gemini, very sharp, very perceptive energy. And with Mars there as well, it's going to bring in this kind of clarity and this kind of real kind of like fire, because it's fiery, because Mars is fiery. It's almost like this kind of like lightning, not lightning as such, but almost like something very obvious. It's almost like, ah, why didn't I see that before, kind of thing. Like something very lit up in a way. The moon will then move forward and connect with the revolutionary awakening planet Uranus, which is barely moving at all now at 14 degrees 47. So even back on the 18th of August, just 4 days before this full moon took place, Uranus, who's stationed just a couple of days after the Earth trine on the 18th, was more or less already standing still. He hadn't actually stationed at that point, but he doesn't move any further than those 14 degrees 47. And he stays at that degree, like I was saying, until he stations. So Uranus is helping us to mould the clay in a sense of a higher vision and higher ideals, which will encompass all who are raising their vibrational frequency as we head into the new pathways that are opening up before us. However, this will be through the ability to stay open to new innovative ideas and not become so stuck in the 3D world that we refuse to recognize any amazing opportunities as they come towards us. As Uranus will be shaking us up and creating the chaos needed in order to remove the old and stagnant energy. It's almost like a garden sieve in a way. That's how I was kind of seeing it. It kind of like sieving through all the dross, like getting rid of all that stuff that's not needed, really giving the whole thing a good shake, which is what Uranus is going to be doing for quite some time to come. So really, like, things that are just kind of going to be really up in the air in that sense, which in Taurus doesn't feel right, because Taurus wants terra firma. It doesn't like to be kind of left in that unknowing energy, shall we say. And Taurus likes to know what's coming next, feels safe, feels secure. But that's not just for Taurians in general. That's for that's a collective energy that we're all going to be feeling, and some are going to feel it more than others. some will be able to deal with it better. If you're a mutable energy, a mutable sign, you'll be able to probably go with it easier than if you're a fixed sign. Cardinal signs will probably be able to deal with it better as well. So this grand Earth trine will continue until the moon reaches 23 degrees of Capricorn, where she will also be conjunct Pluto. We are also, at the time of this second full moon in Aquarius, being reminded that it is important to lead by the Leo sun's energy of warmth, pleasure, enjoyment, strength, and courage of willpower, to allow ourselves to be led from the heart, not just the intellect, which can be cold, logical, and dispassionate. Particularly as this is the last degree of both Leo and Aquarius, the 29 degree point, which can bring out the lower, more base vibrations of both these signs. So, as I was saying, 2 days before the second Aquarian full moon takes place, the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, stations retrograde at 14 degrees 47, once again adding an extra emphasis to this powerful, potent electric Uranian frequency of radical change, freedom, liberation, and the need for truth. At the exact time that Uranus stations, there will be some powerful alignments taking place. Jupiter at 27 degrees 13 minutes and the Sun at 27 degrees 17 are just 1 degree away from their exact opposition. And of course, the Sun is also at that 27 degree point of Leo, trining the galactic centre there as well. So again, that brings in that extra powerful connection to a much bigger source of energy, a much bigger energy in itself. So this opposition for many of us is going to feel like seeing the light, the truth being exposed, a situation suddenly becoming clear, a complete 180 degree shift on a perspective that we were so sure was the way it appeared. For some, this may have been building for a while, backward and forward, questioning ourselves, and others looking for another opinion and viewpoint, including what we continually hear on the tried and trusted established media. For many, though, this could come as a shock to the system, like a lightning strike moment of clarity and understanding, unexpectedly, that throws the perceived world out of sync. As the stationed Uranus will bring out of the blue moments of awakening, which could lead to some chaos within our own orderly, systematic world. At the same time, we will also be having the grand air trine with Gemini, Libra and Aquarius, which will bring in an easy flow of communication, information and data around who we should and shouldn't trust within these fields of media. This also includes the bigger established tech companies and social media in particular. We will have the ability to be a lot more discerning with our personal data and who does and doesn't need to know based on our own personal value of ourselves. Again, that 27 degree point is quite important at that time. So Uranus is the last of the outer planets, those that have bigger, longer term effects that change the course of our history, to now go retrograde. This means that there is a huge amount of reevaluating, reassessing and digesting what has taken place for us in the period of the time these planets are looking back over the previous months. They are now all making sure nothing has been missed. It is like having a second chance at something. We may have changed our mind and feelings on giving us time to reflect and reevaluate. So changed our mind and feelings, which has given us time to reflect and reevaluate. So check to see where this 14 degrees 47, 15 degrees point of Taurus lies, again in your own personal chart which house it falls in, because that again will be where you will see it on a personal level. For the collective, it's in the second house of Taurus, second house to do with our possessions, what we value, our personal finances, our food supplies, our need to feel secure within the 3D realm in general. That Uranus is really going to be shaking up and pushing out the old and bringing in some unexpected but long needed changes. During this stationary period, as the Uranian energy is magnified, we will have experienced about a fortnight before, and we're going to experience it a fortnight after, some truly eruptive, powerful shocks and surprises. Whether this is the form of actual earth upheavals, in case of earthquakes, volcanoes, electrical storms, storms in general, flooding, all that kind of just general upheaval, fires, anything that is going to kind of cause havoc, cause chaos and mayhem, basically, is very much this Uranian energy. And this is also going to cover not only the actual physical upheaval of people and places and the earth itself, but also in the political arena as well, through disclosures of truth. In particular, it will be through disclosures of truth that we're going to see a lot of things come up that are going to really upset that whole idea of the political arena at this time. So this is going to be an intense and chaotic period over the coming months. This isn't just like for the next 2 weeks after Uranus stations. This is going to be ongoing. As we may also experience an uprise in cyber attacks, internet cutouts, possibly due to satellite failings and power failures, as the Uranian energy is electrical in nature. And of course, the stronger the Uranian energy becomes as it moves into Aquarius, the more of an effect it's going to have on the sun, and the more the sun is becoming activated at this time as well, the more CMEs we're seeing, coronal mass ejections, solar winds are bombarding the earth, our own magnetic field is depleting, and it's all connected. And this is the kind of thing that you won't hear through certain climate channels, shall we say, being spoken about, but it's all connected. There is no disconnection in any of that. And it's just going to get more powerful, more stronger. And if we do have a major blast our way from the sun, the satellite system that is around our planet literally is going to get fried. So there could be this massive blackout outages that take place. So that is just a possibility. So just be kind of aware that that could actually happen. Uranus entered his shadow at 10 degrees 49 on the 3rd of May, which means he is returning to that period of time. So whatever was happening in our lives then is going to be revisited. Uranus will be retrograde until the 18th of January 2022, which is when he will get back to that 10 degrees 49 point mark. So from where he turned retrograde, which is that 14.47, which he's gone over that 10 degrees to the 14 degrees, he's already gone over that, so he's now going to go backwards over that again. So he's re-looking at what happened during those months, from getting from May until August. And then of course, once he stations direct, he will then turn and go back over the same energy again. So as with all the planets, it's 3 times over that same point. So again, check out those degrees within your own charts to see where they fall for you, which house they fall in, because again, that's probably where you're going to feel it the strongest. Again, for the collective, it's the second house energy, which means we're going to see a lot of shifts and changes within the financial system in particular. Again, upheaval, chaos around food, because Taurus is all about the food and the body. And all the senses, all the very physical, earthy things that keep us connected to the physical plane is very Taurian. So yeah, but he actually will not come out of that shadow period again. So when he goes back across to that 14 point that he stationed retrograde at just a few days back, he's not going to leave that shadow energy and move forward into the 15, 16 degrees until after the 5th of May 2022. Meaning that whole cycle takes over a year in all. So that's quite a huge chunk of time that Uranus kind of looks over certain points, and he's going to continue to do that in Taurus, because Uranus isn't leaving Taurus until about 2026, 27 maybe, round about that time, I do believe. I could be wrong, it could be earlier, so don't quote me on that one. So yet more Uranian revolutionary awakening energy is going to be highlighted at this time. Surprise, surprise, as Mercury from Virgo at 18 degrees 19 minutes is also trining Uranus in Taurus. Mercury, our day-to-day mind of how we experience and deal with our everyday life, is at home in Virgo, being one of the planets that rules it. Here in a trine with the higher awakening consciousness of the universal mind, Mercury is going to be looking at the details in very precise and thorough fashion, methodically inspecting everything right down to the fine print, or in the conversations we have with others, leaving no stone unturned, which is also where we're going to get some kind of shocking revelations from as well, I feel. Mercury and Uranus are a formidable duo for getting to the bottom of things and having sudden flashes of inspiration on the truth that is being revealed to us. Virgo is a highly refined earth energy with a highly analytical mind for processing reality, which is going to help us see through the veil and illusionment of the lies, deceit and the spells that have been cast upon us. As Mercury is also opposing the planet of mystery and the unknown realm. And when I talk about spells, I also mean words themselves as well, because words are spells. They are emotional things that have been made, or not made so much, but they're emotional ways to control us. And that's also, if you think of word writing, spelling, that is not a mistake, that spells and spelling come from the same source. So as Mercury is also opposing the planet of mystery and the unknown realm, Neptune at 22 degrees and 23 minutes retrograde, and Neptune is also that kind of magical, mystery, occult, hidden side of things as well. Also, of course, the ruler of Pisces, and we are coming out of the Piscean age where we have all been kind of mass hypnotized, if you like, by the use of illusions and spells and all that kind of things that have been used to control and bind. So we may feel the need to express and communicate these very Neptunian energies as well. Neptune is also a very creative energy, very dreamlike energy. It's where a lot of artists get their influence from that Neptunian energy. So so we may want to like express through maybe art or dance or some other form of communication in that sense, the energies around such things as the deeper mysteries of life and a growing awareness of compassion when it comes to seeing the suffering of others around us as well. We may need to talk about it, with Mercury being connected to Neptune at that time, this opposing energy. So it's going to be flowing backwards and forwards again because it's an opposing energy. So Mercury in Virgo is going to be very talkative in that sense, very analytical, as I was saying earlier, very communicative, but very kind of refined, very fine, like getting down to the details of things and really kind of honing in on things and seeing things, understanding things on a deeper level, and maybe needing to express these things that we may not have expressed before, maybe not have even wanted to speak about before, or even recognize as being there, being possibilities that Neptune may well be kind of bringing up again from that surface, or from the deeper, up to the surface from the deeper subconscious realm. Virgo is also the sign of service to others, and at this time there could be a lot of confusion and misunderstandings around what that means exactly. Neptune, also being retrograde, is now going back over the period from when he entered his shadow period on the 4th of March at 20 degrees 24. He will reach this point again on the 1st of December, but it will take him until the 21st of March 2022 to be out of his shadow, when he once again gets to that 23 degrees 11 minute point and will begin to cover his new ground as well. So during this time of Neptune's retrograde, we could see a lot of confusion. There could be a lot of, as Mercury moves away, the things that have become clear could become very confusing to us as well. Almost like that sense of, what's the words I'm looking for here? Dissonance, cognitive dissonance. Like we've kind of grasped it, or we've kind of seen something, but we may not be able to actually accept it as a reality, which is where that cognitive dissonance comes in. And the confusion, because Neptune is a very confusing energy within itself. So we could, over this period of Neptune going retrograde, go through some kind of cognitive dissonance, mass kind of feeling of coming out of hypnosis, realizing that we've been in this kind of mass hypnotic kind of trance state for quite some time. So Mercury is also trine with retrograde Pluto at 24 degrees 46 minutes in the sign of Capricorn. Pluto is continuing his development of power from an established hierarchy. I will go back to that because it's not development, it's devolvement of power. That's the word that is there, which I got wrong. So Pluto is continuing his devolvement of power, which means he's stripping the power away from those who have had it for a long time, from an established hierarchy that has been ingrained in place for many centuries. This is going to be another cause for shock, as the status quo and positions of power are clearly going to be seen coming apart at the seams, which will become a topic for lots of too hot to touch conversations, even within a dying and transforming media, especially as, lastly, Mercury is conjunct Mars, who is also trine with Uranus. really adding some spark, heat and action to our drive and what we feel strongly passionate about, which in Virgo relates to our health, body, in both mind and body. So we may hear a lot of fiery debate as well as action being taken to stand up for our sovereign rights when it comes to all health regimes being forced on us, and pieces of paper needed to validate this. So Pluto being retrograde has also been doing his own deeper inspection, as he will continue to do, on what has happened since the 4th of January, which is an interesting date if you go back in time, not in this country, but in the US. That date was very significant, just before that other thing that happened 2 days after. Pluto is literally going to go back and kind of clear out, transform, take a deeper inspection, really, and just knock down some. Pluto's a bit like a bowling ball or a smashing ball. He just kind of gets through everything. He drills down into the very foundations of something and then kind of like crumbles, just lets it crumble on its own. It's like its own corruption brings it down in that sense, transforms it. Pluto being also the planet of rebirth as well, so it's almost like something has to come to an ending, a conclusion, for something else to rise out of it. And when Pluto goes through a planet, goes through a sign, then that sign is changed. Like whatever that underlying energy has been is no longer going to be there. It's like Pluto just shifts that energy out. And that's what we're experiencing at this moment with Pluto having been in Capricorn for as long as it has, since 2008, and just about to have its opposition as well with America's natal Pluto, which is very interesting, which is another reason why there is so much upheaval and turmoil happening out there at this time as well, and change and transformation and corruption all kind of coming up to that surface. So again, it is worth looking to see where these degrees lie in your own personal chart, because it's only those 2 degrees, because Pluto is such a slow moving planet. Basically he's retrograde is from 24 degrees back to 26 degrees, 24, 18, 26, 48. So it's only those very 2 kind of degrees, 24 to possibly 27, 3 degrees, that he's going to go over 3 times. So wherever, again, those points, those degrees fall for you in your personal chart will be where it will be experienced. Again, in Capricorn, it's in the 10th house, so it is about establishment, governments, laws, that status quo, kind of keeping the established energy in place. And Pluto is saying no, it's time for all of that to go. So Pluto also continues the deeper clearing out and change of the old guard, as he's still square with the goddess Eris, the determined, strong-willed, oppressed and repressed fighter energy of the feminine warrioress, who is also retrograde at 24 degrees 42 minutes. In the very fiery, headstrong, impulsive sign of Aries. Pluto is also still square with the Hawaiian goddess of raw creation energy, Humia, at 27 degrees 8 minutes in Libra, who is not only making a T-square in this particular setup with the 3 dwarf planets, but she is also adding her creation energy from the sign of justice, balance and harmony via a trine with the full moon and Jupiter, as well as a sextile with the sun. And I find it very interesting that here in the UK, the Extinction Rebellion / climate change group are all set to start up their protests again as from the day of the full moon. So that literally is that kind of energy there, all in one package in many ways. Like standing up for the planet, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you know, that's a good thing to do, but you also have to kind of question on some level whether or not there is another agenda behind this as well. So at the other end of Libra, so you've got Hemera at this end, or this end, and then the other end of Libra, we have conjunct Venus, the Polynesian creator god of humanity. So we've got the Hawaiian goddess at the kind of 27 degree point, and we've got the Polynesian god of the creator god of humanity, as they believed, who's also known as the Great Sea Spirit, and he's at 6 degrees 29. And because he's conjunct Venus as well, he's also part of that grand air trine energy that has just taken place as well. So the Polynesian creator god is known as Make Make, and he's connecting to the Aquarian energy through Saturn, which is very interesting, as Make Make is said to be the higher consciousness of Saturn. So he's trining Saturn at this time. And he's said to be the higher consciousness of Saturn that is expressed in the 5D. So whereas Saturn is in the 3D realm, Make Make is said to be from a higher octave, the 5D realm. Whereas Saturn represents rules, laws, restrictions, politics, all forms of authority and control within our physical reality. Make Make is said to be the natural order of divine laws and the balance that coexists within the universal integral order of all creation. Make Make is the higher vibrational octave of Saturn and is awakening us to the divine order throughout the cosmos. Make Make is coming into our consciousness at a time when we need to break free and break out from the Saturn matrix that has been created around us and return to the flow and rhythm of the one source of all love that we have always been a part of. Venus and Make Make are also both opposing the wounded healer Chiron, who it is said in myth was unable to heal his own wound, because of which made him acutely aware of other people's suffering. Chiron is sitting at 12 degrees 20 minutes, having stationed at 12 degrees 55 on the 15th of July. He is going to be taking another look at our lives from the 22nd of March, when he first entered his shadow period at 8 degrees 26 of Aries. He will return to this point on the 19th of December. During this whole period of time, Make Make and Chiron will be travelling through the sky together. And at the same time, Chiron stations direct, they will be in the 0-8 degrees of Aries and 0-8 degree of Libra. Aries is the first house, and it is a cardinal energy, cardinal fire sign, which is why Aries is known as being impulsive, action first, thinking later, headstrong energy, as cardinal signs are all about initiating something, making something happen. Aries represents the masculine warrior side of our nature, the need to do and express outwardly. In mythology, Ares, Mars, is the god of war, which has run rampant and caused a massive amount of suffering on both sides of the gender issue down the ages. Chiron is healing a deep wounding of that masculine, which I have spoken about previously as now being perceived as the toxic masculine, which is an imbalance of the glorification of might being right, i.e. large armies of men to invade, take over and control lands, which has been going on down the centuries and which we are still witnessing with certain countries, particularly those who deny the feminine its place. Anybody who has Eris around these degrees where Chiron is moving retrograde is going to be experiencing the healing of some deep psychological wounding within their own masculine psyche. Now, Eris has been in the sign of Aries, and I've spoken about this before as well, since 1922, when she first moved into Aries fully. There was a stage where she was going backwards and forwards for quite some time over that kind of axis Mundi point between Pisces and Aries, and then she entered into Aries. So everybody who has been born since round about that time has got Eris, this female feisty warrioress energy that has been repressed and refused its place in our history and in nature, and in our psyche. She everybody has Eris somewhere within the Aries energy. So we've all got this kind of female warrioress energy somewhere, which means that we are all at some point, if we don't know where our Eris energy is, it can be being activated without us even realizing it, which can cause kind of outbursts of rage or anger, or like a feeling of things not being just or fair, or because that's one of the things about Eris as well, was this kind of need for well, she is known as the goddess of strife, but out of that strife comes some kind of like fairness. It's like fairness for all. Eris doesn't see anybody as being better than anybody else, really. That is the energy of Eris. It's like equal across the board. So basically, it's worth finding out where your Eris is. And if you were born, I think, round about the early 60s, early 60s, maybe up until the 70s, I haven't actually checked that out, but I know for myself that I actually have Eris around about 11 degrees of Aries. And I was born in 64, giving my age away here, but she moved into Aries back in 1920, so even that kind of 11 degree point is not really that far into it. So, you know, it's worth finding out where it is, because at this time Chiron is going to go over that point of the sky where Eris is sitting for many of us born around that period of time. So we're going to feel that. We're going to feel that activation. We're going to feel that need to heal something deeply within us, within the masculine energy that may really come through as something that has been unfair, unjust, because it's kind of held back that feminine energy. So this could be to do with any male role model who could have either been too domineering, heavy-handed, forceful or aggressive, or the other end of the spectrum wasn't around to give what was needed. Either way, the emotional imprint would have been left, which in itself was more likely than not a generational pattern, which is something else Chiron helps us to heal. This energy is coming through like the Ten of Wands in the tarot, a heavy burden that has been carried way too long. It is impeding our ability to move forward, as it is always dragging us back to past actions and results. This Chiron retrograde opposition with Venus and Makemake is saying it is time to drop these generational burdens that are no longer ours to carry, and to clean out and purify this masculine energy that has become toxic on a level that has engulfed the world. It is time for us to accept the beauty of the nurturing, caring, creative, receptive energy of the feminine, which Venus embodies. And in Libra, she is reminding us that everything must be balanced out in order for there to be equilibrium and peace from within. The scales have been weighed too heavily on one side for too long now. And with Makemake and Chiron journeying together, we are going to experience the emergence of a strong but peaceful warrior. Libra is the 7th house of the zodiac. It is also a cardinal sign that governs over our intimate relationships and how we relate within them. It is the second air sign, so it also speaks about the need for communication with balance, fairness and justice in order to create a harmonious relationship. However, as it's opposing Aries, we are also reminded that any harmonious relationship must start with the self. And that's where Chiron is healing. It's healing that part of ourself that has not been recognised or allowed to be. That's, again, it kind of comes back to those stereotypical views or ideas, which I still feel is very kind of Victorian, even though I know it goes back further than that as well. But there has been, through the ages, there has been female warrioress energies, but unfortunately a lot of that kind of got pushed aside and denied, as has the female energy itself as well. So there is this strong healing that is taking place with this Chiron energy. And it's really interesting as well because Makemake is still going to be connecting with Saturn as well during this period of time. So Saturn is that kind of masculine, like the epitome of that masculine energy in a way. That very, like it represents, for me, it represents the old idea of the father. Like very disciplinarian, very kind of like set ways of doing things, like rules for doing how you do this and how you don't do this. The right way to, like, even to eat is what's coming into my head, because I know as a child I was always constantly being told I was holding my knife and fork the wrong way, and I used to think to myself, in fact I didn't just think it, I used to say it out quite loudly, that why should there be a wrong way to hold it? If I was able to eat with it, then surely that shouldn't have been an issue or a problem. So it's that kind of energy, it's that very kind of status quo energy that Makemake is going to be connecting with as well, and kind of Chiron is helping to kind of heal that energy. That masculine. So the Sabian symbol for the 29 degrees of Aquarius is it's the phase 329, and it's a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis, which I really like. And so the keynote, the capacity to utterly transform the character of one's consciousness by radically altering the structural patterns of everyday living and the types of relationships one enters upon. This is the second time within a very short span of the cycle that the butterfly symbol appears. It also appears apparently in the 25-degree point of Aquarius as well. But I find that interesting as well, as in the fact that it's also the second Aquarian full moon as well. So quite an interesting connection there. So here what is emphasised is the process of metamorphosis itself. It is the fourth symbol of a five-fold sequence, and it stresses the essential character of the activity required at this stage of the cycle, i.e. nothing short of a complete renewal of all the implications of being alive as a human individual will do. A radical change is needed at this stage. This change is individual and mental, and it should be seen against the background of humanity as a whole, so the collective as a whole, going through this mass transformation, this mass metamorphosis. What is revealed is the potential ability of every human being to participate in a higher realm of evolution after his or her emergence from a critical state of transition, which I think is exactly where we are at in our evolutionary time right now. So at this fourth stage of the 65th sub-cycle, the key word is metamorphosis. In spiritual terms, this implies initiation, i.e. entering a higher realm of conscious existence and there joining a sacred company. So it's also kind of talking about going beyond where we are now so that we can become something bigger with something that's already out there, like a kind of, it feels like like a welcoming committee into another stage of our evolution that's already there, kind of waiting for us. And the Sabian symbol for 29 degrees of Leo is a mermaid emerges from the ocean waves, ready for rebirth in human form. Again, I think it's really lovely and really appropriate, and goes really well with the last one as well. So the keynote at this stage, at which an intense feeling, intuition, rising from the unconscious is about to take form as a conscious thought. The mermaid personifies a stage of awareness, still partially enveloped by the ever-moving and ever-elusive ocean of the collective unconscious, yet already half formulated by the conscious mind. Any creative thinker or artist knows well the peculiar mixture of elation and anxiety characterizing such a stage. Will the intuitive feeling fade away, reabsorbed into the into the unconscious, or will the inexpressible realization acquire the concreteness and the expressible form of a concept or a definite motive in an art form? So it's bringing something into being, bringing something, birthing something, is how it comes through for me here. So this fourth symbol in the 30th five-fold sequence suggests that the fire of desire for concrete and steady form burns at the root of all techniques of self-expression. An unconscious energy archetype is reaching toward consciousness through the creator as cosmic love seeks tangible manifestation through human lovers. So it's that bringing together new life, new creation, which can only come together through the human, in that sense, the human being, the human bodies. The whole pre-human universe reaches eagerly to the human stage of clear and steady consciousness. It is this great evolutionary urge, this élan vital, which is implied in this symbol of the mermaid seeking human incarnation. The yearning for conscious form and solidity. So what it seems to be saying here is that the human consciousness coming into the human body, a human life, gives us the ability to evolve and understand ourselves and the universe better, and the universe understands itself better through us having these experiences of life. And so being a human is a desired thing to be, and at this time I think we really have to question others' motives as to why this is becoming such a issue, is how I'm going to express that. And that's all I'm going to say on that score, because I don't want my channel to be blocked or marked. And the last tarot reading that I did for the full moon, because I haven't done anything in between the new moon and the full moon, I haven't done anything that since then, but my last reading was thoroughly checked, which I've never had before. It's never happened to me. It was checked like for a long time to see if it was okay for it to actually be put out. So I'd just like to finish the reading with some channeled messages, the reflection cards. Let's see what we have here. Source for the Aquarius, there we go. Thank you. We have, whenever there is worry or fear, sit down, quieten your mind, concentrate on the light, the energy, the stillness within, and with every breath, concentrate on expanding that light. So that's one card. We've got one more as well, which is saying, as long as you are open to the truth is there for you, which I think is a great way to finish the reading. And say thank you very much again to those of you who have come over to watch my videos and to find out what it is that's going on here. I do appreciate you coming over. I do appreciate all the likes that I get. I appreciate the subscriptions that I get as well. If you haven't liked my video, if you haven't thumbs it up, please could you do that for me, because it does just help me to get my channel recognized, and I am really trying to get that done, to kind of really get my messages out there, because my messages are not the normal usual kind of tarot or astrology readings, I don't feel. So I would really appreciate it if you could share these around as well with people. I actually have a problem sharing this on my Facebook page at this time, because I have been blocked for being really too radical, and it's not the first time that that's happened to me. So if you could share this, it would really be appreciated. The more people that get to hear the message and get to kind of have a heads up and a bit of a warning about what is coming up astrologically could really help people. So for those of you who do share my videos, again, thank you very much. To those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. And to those of you who do like my videos as and when I put them out, thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, again, please do tap the bell so that you know when my videos will be putting out there. Like I said, I haven't done anything in between the Leo new moon and this full moon. I've been very busy on other things, and kind of a lot of kind of downloads have been happening for me as well, and things changing on some levels. So again, thank you very much. Wishing you all the best for this full moon in Aquarius and these coming 2 weeks, and hopefully I will see you again next time at the new moon that is going to be taking place in Virgo. And hopefully in between then I might even be able to get some actual sun sign zodiac readings out as well. Fingers crossed. Hopefully see you again soon. Take care.